let's start off talking about Super Strong Style 16 and you being in the tournament. What are your thoughts on it, and what are your thoughts on your opponent, Leon Slater?
I first of all, I'm actually pretty honored to be a part of it. This is our first time performing in the UK since I left WWE, so I'm actually looking forward to it. As far as my opponent goes, I did see a few. I have seen his work. I think he's a phenomenal young talent, and I'm expecting to get a great match out of him. I'm also thinking he might have bitten off a little more than he can chew.
I mean, I've seen him live a few times. He very much reminds me of like a you when you first debuted.
Right.
Do you kind of see those comparisons whenever you've seen his stuff?
I like I said, when I watch him, like I totally see how his athleticism, I mean, it's off the chart. So, and being kind of the poster child for the athletic wrestler, yeah, I can totally see how his abilities would draw comparison to me. However, I'm a lot bigger than he is. Like most people don't realize, I'm just shy of 250 pounds. I don't know what the conversion is, but again, like he's a awesome talent. Like I've watched quite a few of his matches. So while, like I said, he's smaller, but I don't think he's going to be an easy match. He's quick, he's agile. But again, in the end, I think he might have bitten off a little more than he can chew with this one.
Yeah. This is your first time doing the Indies properly since 2017, something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah, since really, I would say even since 2015, because between 2012 and 2017, I was almost exclusively working in Japan.
True. So what are you looking forward to most about kind of getting, I guess you get a lot more freedom and things like that as well when you do the Indies?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a completely different monster. And there's a lot more hustling on my part. WWE kind of lined everything up on a silver platter. You go in here, I know how I'm familiar with the people I'm wrestling.
Yeah.
But I'm also following their assignments. As far as the Indies go, I call all the shots. I decide everything, who I want to work with, where I want to work with. I'll veto anything that I don't like. So there's a lot more freedom, both creative and as far as where you go, how long you go. Matter of fact, I plan on staying a few extra days in London while I'm over there, because while with WWE, it's always go, go, go. So this time around, I wanted to make sure I actually got a chance to hang out and experience the cities and all these interesting places that I go, but I never really get to experience. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
So with that in mind, and the fact you said you kind of get to pick what you want to do at this stage, why Progress? Why this tournament? Why did that appeal to you?
Well, one, Progress is I mean, it's a pretty awesome company and I like working for the best. I like to, and they're one of the best. They're literally one of the best companies out there. As far as the tournament goes, I guess it gave me a chance to again spread my legs a little, really see what's out there, because there are a lot of people that I haven't had a chance to work with. This actually gives me a chance to kind of have a bit of a lottery as to who I may face. Should I get past my first match? Just more options, and give me a chance to work with a lot of new young talent, especially in the UK, which I'm not over there a lot. So this is, I feel like it's a huge opportunity for me.
Yeah. How much when you're in WWE, how much you get to keep up with the Indies and I guess what goes on abroad, because that's a very different scene to the US one.
To be honest, and I'm only speaking for myself, when you're at WWE, you don't have time to really think about anything else. We definitely obviously the highlights in other companies. Yeah, we catch that, but yeah. Like I said, a lot of names I'm not familiar with unless they came into the WWE orbit, because with WWE you have to be so focused on what you're doing there. Like I said, we're traveling every week. we're doing TVs every week. We got to stay in shape every week, and it's really hard to try to keep up because there's so much wrestling out there and so many great talents. It's hard to keep up. But obviously, like I said, I think pro wrestling fans and most wrestlers we try to keep up with as much as we can.
Yeah. How much of a life adjustment is it going from being in the machine to doing what you're doing now?
Again, the biggest adjustment is you're calling your own shots. You're making all the decisions. With WWE, it's like almost like you're on autopilot. All I have to do is, we have an app. It tells me everything I need to know, and I don't have to hustle at all. When you're at WWE, as opposed to, again, when you're on the indies, like, it's up to me to make things happen. If I don't put in work, and we're going to starve.
Yeah.
But that there's also, again, the freedom to, like I said, to be able to call your own shots, to go where you want to go, work with who you want to work with. So, and I guess on a more personal note, it's easier to make time for your family, because with WWE, like I don't want to say they own you, but you're on their schedule. When they say go here, you go there. It doesn't matter if your mother has a retirement party, your daughter has a graduation.
Yeah.
Those type of things. Like, I miss so many family opportunities because the WWE machine, it keeps grinding and it doesn't stop.
Yeah. When you got released the first time, around 2010, what's the biggest difference between that release and this release for you personally?
For me personally, the difference is, one, when I originally was released back in 2010, I had never done independent wrestling. I went straight from college to WWE. So in a lot of ways, I was spoiled. I won a lottery ticket for sure, but I didn't learn. There's a lot that can be taught on the indies. I didn't get that experience. I went straight from WWE to where, when I was released, I was kind of lost. I didn't even know where to start, because I've never had to, hustle. Fortunately, obviously I have a lot of friends, and most notably Charlie Haas. He'd done indies before WWE, while I was, during his release. So he had a big part in just kind of schooling me on how to do things on the indies. And like I said, if not for Charlie, I would have been pretty lost. This time, like, I know what's out there. I know, again, I know what I'm doing. I have a better understanding of the business of pro wrestling. And like I said before, it was a mystery. I didn't know what was out there, as opposed to now, where there are so many opportunities, so many different companies, and so many different places. And I feel like wrestling is really hot, and there's so many, like, amazing talent that the world doesn't even know about. And I feel like, because of my name recognition, like, hopefully I'll put eyes on a lot of these new stars up and coming. So, and at this point in my life, that's kind of how I would like to try to give back, to get some of these other things.
I was going to say, is that the goal for you with this run? Kind of educate and bring up the next group of youngsters?
To some degree, I still have my own selfish reasons. Like, I still want to go out there. I still want to go out there and perform. I still want to have fun. I still want to win championships. I still want to do a whole lot of things. But I also understand that at this point in my career, not that I'm about to hang it up anytime soon, but I feel like it's important for me to try to help build new talent, new younger talent, and that there are a few ways to do that, but that is definitely one of my responsibilities.
When you look at the industry as a whole now, when you first came into it, it was right at the end of the Attitude Era, and now arguably it's hotter than it's ever been. Like, how do you view it now that you can kind of take a step back from being in WWE? and watch the progression of what's happened?
I believe it's like night and day. Honestly, it's like a whole new industry. Because again, when I came in, we didn't have we had the internet, but we didn't have the social media influence that the industry seems to thrive on these days, and with good reason. So it was a different world. It was almost like the Wild West, and I feel like the overall the overall pro wrestling product, pretty much every company has become more refined. It's I don't think it's like it used to be viewed as kind of a niche, thing for people to be into. Like right now, pro wrestling is mainstream, and I think because of that, like it's bigger. There are way more opportunities for everybody across the board. And again, I was lucky enough to be in WWE for most of my career. But the way things have evolved, WWE used to be the only game in town. That's not the case anymore. So again, it's a totally different monster. But I view it as positive.
Are you looking with, like, as well as the indie run, with one eye on AEW, TNA, like joining those companies in the future?
I'm always open to work with any of those companies. Because at the end, like I said, at this point, there's a business aspect of it to me, and that's how I approach it. So, yes, I'd love to work in AEW. I'd love to work in Impact. There's really, like I said, I don't put a limit on where I would go. Like I'm open to all of these places. New Japan is still my favorite company outside of WWE, and I say WWE because I have so many friends still there. But again, I'm open to everything. I'm open to everyone. It's kind of random.
Just kind of touching on your WWE career, you've been, for fans of like my age, I mean, I'm only 34. You've been involved in some of the most memorable moments in WWE history, from the super kick to Shelton's mama to, some of the factions you've been involved in, like with Kurt Angle. What's been your favorite moment of your career?
Oh, wow, man, that I've been asked that question a few times, and I'll be honest, I have so many. Like the first one that comes to mind is my first WrestleMania. Me and Charlie defended the tag team championships in Seattle. So that's a highlight. The first Money in the Bank. That is probably one of my biggest things I like to look back on. My match with Triple H. My first match on Raw with Triple H. Wow, winning my first title against Chris Jericho at Taboo Tuesday. And I really love that match for a few reasons. One, because it was 100% on the fly. Like most people say, oh, they planned everything. No, me and Chris just went out there and did it. And what really made that special, because it was a legitimate fan vote that got me into that match. So that for me is a huge source of joy for me. But yeah, I got a lot. There are some that aren't televised. Like I think once me and MVP did almost a half hour at a live event, and like a great NFL quarterback, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was calling audibles into our match, and the ref was kind of relaying it to us, and it was one of the best matches I've ever had. But again, I have. We're talking almost 20 years worth of memories. So I'll be here. I could think of a whole bunch. But of course, everyone wants to know about that super kick. That's actually a highlight of my career too. So that match with Shawn Michaels is definitely one of my top performances, if not my top performance ever. So yeah, I got a lot.
I think a lot of fans still hold Team Angle with a lot of affection, but it does kind of go under the radar when you talk about, top factions. What was it like to be a part of that and to learn from someone like Kurt?
Oh man. So Team Angle, yeah, I definitely think it goes under the radar because not enough fanfare was like we didn't get enough press, and we broke up way too early.
Yeah.
in my opinion, because Team Angle was only maybe 13 months before they broke us up, and again, me and Charlie were still green as grass and still learning. But it was actually the time that, to me, was the best time of my life. That's when everything was new, everything was fun. I was just happy to be on the roster. We were having these great matches with the Guerreros, and then later Eddie and Tajiri, Ray and Kidman. So that time with Team Angle, that was probably the most fun I had. That's the most fun era for me.
How would you compare that to some of the factions you were in later on, like the one with Bobby Lashley? Like, how would a match up with Team Angle and that group go?
Oh wow, wow, that is $1 million question, and I feel like I've had to face that before. And man, I don't know. Like Bobby, when we look at the matchups like that, those are just two stacked teams, and it's like part of it has to weigh current me versus younger me, and of course, I believe current me would outsmart younger me. So if that tips it anyway, but athletically, younger me is like I still can do most of my stuff, but at that time there was nothing I couldn't do. It was pretty much balls to the wall every night. But I don't know. I can't say which would be the top faction. And I think another thing that, just to answer your question, my other friend, Suzuki-gun. Most people don't realize I was a member of Suzuki-gun for 3 years.
Yeah.
So that is another faction that I consider great. My time in New Japan / Noah, that was an awesome faction, and I don't think, at least in the US, I don't think we get nearly enough recognition.
I think as well throughout your career, you kind of showed you could turn your hand to anything. When you look at the Shelton's Mama stuff, that was just comedy and completely insane. Like, where does that come from in you, and how easy is it to switch from pure wrestling to like the comedy stuff?
The comedy stuff was really easy for me. Only because I tell people all the time, I'm a big kid. Like, I'm usually in the back joking, laughing, having fun. If you watch any of the stuff on Up, Down, Down, as far as, the kind of the banter that me and the guys have with each other while playing video games, like that's kind of a peek at what I'm really like backstage. So the comedy stuff was easy. Plus, Phil Vidal, who played my mom, she kind of made it really easy. Like it was almost like I was trying to keep up with her comedic chops, but that was a lot of fun. There are some other comic stuff that I've done. Particularly, my favorite is when me and Charlie spoof APA, and we were singing "Rap is Crap." Like a lot of people, a lot of these things that they were so much fun that I think people have forgotten over time. But comedy stuff, I'm really that I feel like that comes pretty easy to me because, like I said, I'm a comical guy for the most part. Drama depends on the situation.
I think later, like your later run, you became a bit of a Twitter meme with the facial expression gifs. Like, where did that come from?
That came from Vince, and when he instructed me to start doing that, there was no direction given. He literally said, "We're gonna try this, and we're gonna kind of see where it goes." And even I was like, "Where's this going?" I never got an answer. It just stopped. So I'm still scratching my head, just like everybody else is on that.
I mean, you got Twitter gifs out of it, so it wasn't a total waste.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of Twitter gifs. So again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that I don't know where it was going or that it didn't go anywhere, because like I said, the gifts and all this stuff. But I just don't know where it was ever going.
So when you look back now on your whole WWE career, how do you view it? Like putting both runs together in one?
Putting both runs together, I feel like I've had a phenomenal career because we're talking, about 18 years. 18 years with that company. I am grateful for the time I had there. I'm grateful for the career that I have. I'm grateful that I created a lot of memories for people that hopefully they'll be talking about for years to come. But I still feel like there's unfinished business there.
In what way?
Well, one, a title match. Like I had one title match versus Eddie Guerrero when I first got to the company. I haven't had a one-on-one opportunity at a World Heavyweight title. So even the opportunity to compete for that title in a singles match is something I feel like I should have. I should have had a few. And of course, I still want a world championship. That to me that's why you're in the business. Like you want to be the best, you want to be at the top. And I've read so many different rumors where people are giving their opinion or thoughts about me, and I don't always address it. But it was the one that really bugs me is people say I was happy to just be a guy in the back. I was happy to just be on the roster and all this other stuff. And I'm like, bull, get your censor button ready because bullshit. Like my goal when I got there was to be a tag team champion. Once I achieved that, my goals became, okay, I want to be a world champion now. And once I started proving to myself and to the world that I can hang with the best in the world any day, anytime, my expectations and my goals were always centered around being a world champion. And I wish people stop printing otherwise or saying otherwise, because I've never been complacent as far as wanting to be the top guy.
Yeah. Just last question on WWE. Do you think you'll go back there and get the chance to do that?
I think I'd be a fool not to look at the opportunities. Again, if they asked me to come back, I would definitely go back. I think you'd be a fool not to. They're the biggest company in the world. You get the most exposure. You can really expand your own personal brand there. Like the WWE is a marketing machine. Most people think of WWE as a wrestling company. I think of it as a marketing company. And if you get a chance to go there, I say to anyone, go. If you've been there, came back, go back. Yes, it's going to be frustrating at times. Leave your feelings at the door because WWE doesn't care about your feelings, much like any other job. So I would definitely go back given the opportunity. Am I trying to go back? No, I take it day by day and deal with what I have to deal with. But if the opportunity came, of course, I would definitely consider going back.
Last question. I've always wanted to ask you, what is the deal with the friendship with Mia Yim?
You know what? We were having such a good little meeting here, and everything was, oh God. Okay. So here's the deal. Mia is one of my best friends. If not, she's definitely like family to me. I always refer to her as my little sister. I met her back in 2010, shortly after I left WWE. And our little banter, it just kind of developed. It went from being backstage and then with Twitter and all these other social medias. Like we've been going at it for, it's 2024 now. We've been going at it for over a decade. And it just kind of grew. Our war, the Benjamin Wars, kind of took on a life of their own. But she is like, that's my best friend. That's my little sister. I love her like a little sister. I hate her like a little sister. And it's just over time, our friendship just kind of bonded. we were there for each other in various ways, through hardship, through great times, and again, it's just a friendship that developed, and it just happened to be that we just enjoy taking taking shots at each other. But it's all love, it's all out of respect, and while we can be pretty brutal, like there are times where we will like censor ourselves, like, okay, it's a little too much for public consumption. But nah, she's my friend. I love her to death. It's funny, like she's married to, she's married to Keith Lee. And when she originally started to date him, like she came to me and asked me what I thought of him to get my blessings, So, and I thought that was a great thing. That just shows, we really respect each other and each other's opinion. And I think my advice there worked out pretty well because they got married.
That is a brilliant place to leave it on. Thank you very much for your time.